In today's video, we're going to learn about chondro localities. So I thought it would be helpful if I sang part of a Beach Boys lullaby that my grandmother used to sing to me when I was a little boy to learn about chondro localities. Tamika, Bantanta, oh, I wanna take ya, Jayapura, Wamina, let's go find a gravid mama, Padado and Lyra, little snake nerd, why don't we go? Within the Indo trees, there's a place called PNG, and that's where you need to go to see the localities of all your favorite green trees. God, I miss my grandmother, but you know, she could never rhyme Maniquarry. Hey, as always, I have a jam-packed video for you guys today. There's a lot of information I'm going to throw at you, and I think you're going to find it really helpful. Green tree python localities. We're going to do part 1 of 2 in this video. In the next video, we'll do part 2. I think the biggest thing with green tree python localities is, look, you could look on a map and see where these animals come from. But what I want to get into today is phenotypes. And phenotype basically means physical appearance. So my goal with this video today is to help you look at an animal that you may have or maybe consider buying and just have a pretty good idea what that animal might be. It's a little confusing because there are 2 subspecies and one of those subspecies have 2 subspecies, but we're going to get into it today and I think you're going to find it extremely helpful. Are you going to be able to look at a chondro after watching my video and say you know exactly where it comes from? Oh, hell no, that is not going to happen. But I promise it's going to be a major help and you're going to be able to look and say, wow, I know what group or what subspecies that animal belongs to. Special thanks to my friend Ryan Young for helping me with that portion of the video too, because Ryan, he was super helpful. Ryan owns Molecular Reptiles. He has a lot of great animals available right now, and I could not have done these videos on green tree python localities if it were not for Ryan. Also in this video, I just got a new diamond python in female. She's amazing, and I'm thinking she might be unrelated to a lot of animals currently in this country. In any event, I'm going to show you guys when she first came in. I'm going to unbox her, and thanks to my friend Joshua Easter for helping with that portion of the video. You know, I don't do these videos by myself, guys. You see me in front of the camera, believe me, there's a whole bunch of people I rely on who are, I feel, experts in certain fields, and when it comes to diamond pythons, Joshua Easter is definitely one of those guys. So I'm going to share that with you. We're going to get into light cycling. You know, the daylight savings time just happened and we fell back, so it's now time to start light cycling your animals, and I'm going to tell you exactly what I did in my collection. Hopefully it's going to help you with your collection. And the last thing we're going to get into is Savu python eggs. My Savu python eggs hatched. So I want to show you guys, you know, the baby, and I'm excited to show that off to you as well. So why don't we jump into today's video. Well, we're in the laundry room again. That can only mean one thing: more new animals. I love getting new animals in. But that's it, guys. I promise. After this, I'm done. That's it. So at least till the end of the year. How much time's left to the end of the year, honey? Only 8 weeks, right? I can make it. I can make 8 weeks. All right. So let's see what we got here. Paper. God, this animal is awesome. Okay. Guys, I hope you can see that well. I'll take a picture of it too and put it on, but that is amazing looking. That's a female diamond python for my friend David Hastings. So what I'm going to tell you guys about diamond pythons is that there are 4 recognized lines of diamonds here in the US. We have the Gary Val line. We have Casey Lasix line, we have the San Diego Zoo Stock line, and we have the Riverbanks Zoo line. Those are the 4 recognized lines of diamonds. This animal is from the Gothenburg Zoo, Gothenburg Zoo in Germany. I don't know much about these. David had it available and I picked it up. From what I understand, if you guys know differently, you could tell me, but from what I understand, there are very few of these Gothenburg animals here in the United States. I spoke with my friend Joshua Easter. If you guys don't know Josh is my go-to guy. He's the diamond python authority here in the United States, so I always go to Joshua when I have any questions about diamond pythons. So again, I don't know much about this line of Gothenburg diamond pythons, again from Germany. I believe my buddy Martin Roseman has a few of these animals as well. If you are out there right now watching and you have these Gothenburg diamond python, this line, or if you know anything about them, please reach out to me or put it in the comments because I'd love to know more. But anyway, she's an amazing animal, and I lost my diamond. You guys watched my channel, you know that I lost my female diamond last year. She became egg bound, so I had to replace her. I am looking to pick up a reduced pattern female diamond as well, but right now I was really happy to get her. She's a 2019, and I will just show you guys more pictures of her as she grows up. So, all right, let's get back to the video. Why are green tree python localities so confusing? Well, I'm going to tell you why. See this bottom animal here? That is a pure maniquarry chondro. Top animal is it's an Arfak chondro from the Arfak Mountains from Maniquarry region. These animals occur within 60 miles apart from each other, so it's really difficult to tell. I mean, yes, there are definitely differences in these animals, but in many cases, you know, the animals are indistinguishable, and that's why really, unless you're there to collect the animals yourself, you really don't know where these animals come from specifically. What I can tell you, there are 4 different subspecies of green tree pythons. There are Azuria is the one name, Uterensis is another one. You have Pulcher, these are both belong to Pulcher. And then you have Morelia viridis, which are your Australians and your Marukis and your Arus. So in today's video, first we're going to cover Morelia Azuria Pulcher. That's what these are, both Pulcher. And we're going to go through some of the localities in Pulcher. So the good news is, after watching my video today, you're not going to be able to look at an animal and say, okay, I know specifically what that location is, but I can tell you this, after watching my video, this video and my following video, at least you're going to be able to look at a video and say, hey, I recognize those animals based on the characteristics in Gary's video. I can tell you those are at least those are Pulcher, Morelia Pulcher. So that's my goal with you guys today. So why don't we just jump into some other Pulcher, and then later in the video we're going to jump into Morelia Azuria. This is another Arfak locality, green tree python. Again, this locality falls under, again, Pulcher. Now, it looks very different than the other Arfak chondro I just showed you, which shows you there's also a lot of variation within the same locality types, which makes it even more confusing when you're trying to identify an animal. 2 things you should also know about, well, in general with Morelia Pulcher, is that Morelia Pulcher animals are found on the Bird's Head Peninsula of West Papua, Indonesia. Okay, that's why oftentimes you'll hear chondro people refer to Pulcher animals as Bird's Head Peninsula animals. Okay, not because their head is the shape of a bird, but because they're from the Bird's Head Peninsula. Okay, also all Pulcher animals have black tails. Okay, Maniquarries, Arfaks, and the rest of the Pulcher animals I'm going to show you today all have black tails. Okay, so now that we've looked at Maniquarries and we looked at Arfaks, which can have both red and yellow babies, now let's jump into 4 other Pulcher locality animals, all island forms that only have yellow babies. Okay, so let's jump into that right now. Sticking with Morelia Pulcher, guys, or Bird's Head Peninsula chondros, we have Wago, we have Misul, Bantanta, and Kofiau. Okay, let's cover those 4 animals right now. You don't see much about these animals. They're all island form animals. Again, they're all Morelia Pulcher. They all have black tails. The difference between these guys, though, and the Maniquarries and the Arfaks I showed you earlier is these 4 locality types only have yellow babies. So if anybody ever tries to sell you a Bantanta or a Misul, and they say it's a red baby, you know that that's no such thing, okay? These 4 forms only have yellow neonates. When it comes to Kofiau chondros, also known as canary chondros, and by the way, I'm putting pictures up of these animals right now. I couldn't find a locality shot of a Wago chondro, guys. You know, I do see pictures of Wago chondros online, but I'm not really sure if they're truly Wago chondros, and I'm not trying to confuse anybody. But again, as you can see, even though these 4 animals are 4 different island types, they all look very similar to each other, which again makes it that much more difficult when somebody shows you an animal and says, hey, can you tell me where this is from? Well, now you understand why it's so difficult to pinpoint where an animal's from. But now you know, though, at least it has that black tail and it has that same pattern. You can see that's pretty indicative of all 4 of these locality types. At least you know it's Morelia Pulcher or it is a Bird's Head Peninsula animal, and that's what we're trying to establish here today in these videos. Back to Kofiau chondros for a second, also known as canary chondros. I've had many of them, and here's what I can tell you guys. I can confidently say that people might argue with me, but Kofiau chondros, canary chondros, do not stay bright yellow throughout their entire life. I've had the most bright yellow females, and after they went through, they had an ovulation, they all turned green or shades of green, which we call them a dirty bird at that time. You'll also see in the pictures I put up is I had a black-headed canary chondro. It's quite unique looking animal. That animal produced many offspring for me. Nobody ever looked like the father, unfortunately. They didn't carry on that genetic trait, but they were all pure Kofiau chondros. So anyway, after looking at those 4, let's jump into more Pulcher chondros. Now I'm going to show you guys pictures of Sarang and Nabir chondros. Okay, again, Morelia Pulcher. And you can see there's not much differentiation between both of these localities, which again, I know I sound like a broken record, which is why it makes things so difficult when you're looking at animals to be able to tell exactly where they're from. But now you can look at them and say, hey, I know they have black tails, and based on that same pattern of that, that vertical blue stripe with the cross patterning, that's Morelia pulcher. It has a black tail. As far as Nabir and Sarong, I haven't seen either one of these around readily available in quite some time. As far as Nabir, both of these animals, quote unquote, are capable of having both red and yellow neonates. I've never seen a red Nabir. Doesn't mean they don't exist. I've never seen one, but theoretically, both are supposed to have, from what I've read, both red and yellow neonates. So let's move on to the last in the Pulcher group. And the last chondro we're going to cover in Pulcher is Tamika locality. Again, this is a locality I don't see around too often. I saved Tamika to last in the Pulcher group only because we're not really sure. They kind of fall in a gray area. We're not sure if they're Pulcher, Morelia Pulcher, or if they're Morelia Uterensis. Okay, Uterensis we're going to cover in my next video. So it's kind of a gray area on that. Tamika, they are capable of producing both red and yellow neonates. Again, it looks very similar to some of the other Pulcher localities we've been talking about, which makes this whole thing that much more, when you're confusing when you're trying to find out a specific locality type. But again, we know now when we're looking at these animals, we could say, hey, I don't know specifically what that locality is, but we know that's a Bird's Head Peninsula animal, or we know that's a Morelia Pulcher. Are you guys light cycling your animals yet? What does light cycling mean? It means just like what it sounds like, cycling your animals, getting ready them to breed with the duration of lighting that you use in your cages or in your enclosures. So very simply is that I am in New Jersey, okay? I am east of the Mississippi River, and so as soon as I hit daylight savings time, that is my key that I'm going to start light cycling my animals. I typically have my animals on a 12-hour on, 12-hour off schedule in regard to lighting, but now, as of daylight savings time, my lights come on at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and they go off at, or actually, they come on at 8 a.m., and they go off at 6 p.m., okay? So it is 10 hours on and 14 hours off, and that is the first step in breeding your animals, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to light cycle all through the month of November. I'm going to continue to feed my animals through the month of November, and then the last couple weeks of November, I'm going to stop feeding, and then come early December, I'm going to start temperature cycling. I'm going to start cooling the temperatures of my animals. So if you're watching my videos, you're going to want to try to breed and cycle your animals along with me. If you could stay on my schedule, that'd be great. So what are we going to first try breeding? Coming up the soonest is going to be some green tree pythons, some Antaresia pythons, which are the granite spotteds. We're going to do some Conicus sand boas. We're going to hold off on the Savus. I might try the Amazon basins, but in any event, just follow me along with my journey, just like we did last year, and hopefully you start cycling your animals with me, and hopefully together we're all going to have a lot of luck breeding this season. Okay, the next subspecies of chondros we're going to talk about today are the Morelia Azuria. Okay, you guys may know them better as the Numphors. There's Beox, there's Potato, I'm going to put the spellings up for you guys as well, and Superiority. And again, I'm going to put pictures up of all these 4 different chondros for you right now. And to follow the same theme we've been talking about through this video, as you can see, they're almost indistinguishable from each other. Now, these 4 islands, these 4 localities, they're 4 different islands, but you have to keep in mind they're all within 60 miles of each other. And that's why they look so similar. So again, if somebody out there has a Potato chondro, or you have a Superiority chondro, and it looks a lot like a Beox, well, it's very difficult, again, to tell this stuff apart. But at least you know you have Morelia Azuria, and just like I mentioned earlier in the video, maybe we should start classifying these things just by the subspecies. We can call them all Azuria. But in any case, these 4 localities of chondros, they tend to be the biggest locality of chondros. They also tend to take the longest as far as doing their color changes, going through their onogenic color changes. That's why you'll see somebody post a picture of a Beox and they'll say, hey, this is still yellow or still orange after 2 or 3 years. Well, that's normal. They just take longer to go through their onogenic color changes. They tend to be a little bit more aggressive, a little more defensive. And the other thing with these animals, they all have black tails as well. That's another differentiating factor with this locality type. So again, it's the Beox, Numphors, Potatoes, and Superiorities. These are all Morelia Azuria, a great group of animals, and I hope that helps clear things up with these localities. Okay, so for those of you who've been watching my breeding journey, this is a Savu python that I recently hatched out. This little guy's only, or little girl's only about, I'd say 4 days old, and it's in a deep shed. So yeah, I had 2 eggs total this year, Savu pythons. I had 1 clutch. There were a total of 5 eggs. Of the 5 eggs, 3 were slugs right from the beginning, and the other 2 eggs looked great. You know, the irony is that one of the eggs had perfect vein development when it was laid, and the other one looked really sketchy to me. It had hardly any vein development. So of course I incubated both, and the one with the solid vein development, it started to collapse after about 40 days. It was going perfect and everything looked great. And ironically, the egg with the no vein development and the egg that I'm going to put a picture up so you guys can see the eggs I'm talking about. And the egg on the right, you can see in the photo, is it's nice and full, but it never collapsed. It had horrible vein development, and that's the one that hatched. And of course, the one that did everything the way it was supposed to, looked great from day one and collapsed and everything, there was basically just a solid dead baby inside. It was barely, it must have died a few weeks back because it wasn't even fully formed. But anyway, this is the one baby I have, and I absolutely love it. And even though I'm bummed that I didn't get as many as I wanted, I'm still excited to have it. And I'll tell you guys, I don't know what you think. It looks silver to me, okay? Now, the mother was a silver. The father was a normal Savu, so theoretically it should be a normal Savu het for silver or exanthic. But it looks silver to me. So let's going to see what it looks like after its first shed. And what I can tell you about my Savu pythons is that I have 5 females ready to go this year. I have 1.2 silvers, and I have 3.3 normals. And why I do not claim to have figured out Savu pythons, I feel pretty confident saying that I feel like I keyed in on my group. I feel like I know what I did different. So this is my 3rd year working with them. I finally got eggs. And next year, just hoping for a better season. So we'll see what comes of it. But in the interim, I'm super happy with this one little baby. Hey guys, thanks again for always watching my videos and for sharing my videos. I really appreciate it. If you haven't done so already, it really helps me out. If you could please subscribe, like, and again, continue to share my videos. This is a pair of green Sanzinia. I've showed these before. They're a couple years old. I got to tell you one thing I'm learning about Sanzinias. They do not grow very quickly. You know, I don't pump any of my animals, but they grow on the slower side. But in any event, US ARC, they do so much for us and ask so little from us. It's $5 a month. As always, I will put the link on the bottom of my video. And I will see you guys in a couple weeks. Who has the best YouTube channel? Me